Welcome back to Dadpuzzles. We're very happy today. We have a special guest, Shellee Howard, and I met her through a good friend of mine, Jeff, and we were we were chatting about how we can help our kids go through this, the college years and beyond. And during the talk, it was just a brief for me. There were so many things that we discussed, and I was like, no, let's make sure that we share this information with my community so they can benefit, because most of our, like my community, their parents, so I'm sure they have already gone through this or they're about to go through this. So please welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. We are very happy to have you here. And can you please, just tell us a little bit about yourself, because your introduction is too much. I don't want to do injustice.
I would be happy to. So
Yes.
I actually started a company called College Ready 17 years ago when my firstborn came home from middle school. And he said, Mom, I know exactly what I want to do when I grow up and where I want to go to college. And I was like shocked because I was the first to go to college and I
Right.
changed my major 5 times. So I didn't set the best example. And at that moment, he looked at me and he says, Can you help me? And like
Okay.
every good parent, right? I
Oh
said,
yeah.
Of course I can help you. And he
Yes.
walked away and I panicked, just like every good parent.
Right.
And so at that time, this is way before we had technology at our fingertips. And I remember taking him to his high school counselor prior to starting ninth grade. And he said to her, Can you help me get into an Ivy League school? I want to be a doctor.
Right.
And she
Amazing.
said to him, Why would you waste your time or money? They don't make money anymore. That's a huge commitment that you do not want to do. And it really shocked me because there was no reason for her to shoot his dream down, even if it was a dream.
Right.
And so he looked at me and he's like, I don't think we're going to get any help here, Mom. And so we excused ourselves and we left. And on the way home, he's now feeling defeated, like, should I be a doctor? And that's when we really started to think of what was that going to be. So I'll fast forward because it is a 4-year story.
Right.
He did exactly what I recommended, and I
Right.
spent about 30 hours on top of my full-time career. I
Right.
went back to school, became a certified independent college consultant,
Amazing.
and he got into 7 top-tier colleges and went to Harvard 4 years, and I didn't
Amazing.
pay a dime.
Amazing.
So that
Yes.
is how College Ready was started.
That's fantastic. Wow. And I'm so happy because I wish you had put that person in place. When they're talking about, oh, there's no more money there and this and that. I mean, this is it's that's where if people they're building their career based on that only, I think they're gonna be not so good doctors because they have other motives. I think the motive should be like, really, I want to help and all those things. You know what I mean? So this
Yeah.
is
So,
amazing.
when we were talking at the beginning and you shared where you were from, and I said
Right.
I've been there,
Right.
it was actually with my son when he was 17 and
Okay.
he was still on the path to be a doctor. I said, I'm concerned. Are you going to get the doctor in front of your name, or are you having the heart of somebody who's going to spend the rest of their life serving their community?
Right.
And so, in order to determine that, I took him to Kenya, Africa.
Okay.
And him and I jumped on an airplane and we spent several weeks serving in the
Amazing.
slums of Mathare and
Nice.
really leaning into, are you sure this is what you want to do? And after a lot of tears and a lot of soul searching, he was so sure that he wanted to do, he didn't care about the status. He thought if I could heal people every day, my life would be
Amazing.
so full. And that's
Amazing.
how I ended up in Kenya for my very first time.
Beautiful. And then how did you get to Tanzania?
So, because
Hmm.
we had a wonderful few weeks of serving, I
Okay.
gave him the bonus of
There you
going on
go.
safari in Tanzania. So
Amazing. What?
that's how we ended up in Tanzania is we did a beautiful safari, and it was just a really big celebration of our time together in Africa. And that was my first of 4 trips.
Amazing. Wow. I used to work, in the tourism in Tanzania.
Okay.
So the way it works is like after secondary school, you go to high school, which is advanced level. Then from there, you go to the colleges and stuff. So my advanced level was PCB, like physics, chemistry, biology, and then
Okay.
from there to medicine. So I graduated, and you know how it is there. The whole country we're competing for a couple universities only to get into medical school. So one of the program that I got into was Muhimbili Medical University. Like is a
Wow.
medical
Yeah.
college there. So I was one of
Sure.
the lucky ones to get into that. But before I went to it, I had like a gap. So that gap between the results and says the selection stuff. I was working in the tourism industry, so I was actually the money guy. Yes, I'll take money from you, and then I plan for you whether it's 5 days or 7 days or three
Yeah.
days to like all these different places, and some they even climbed the Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, I actually
Yes.
did on my trip to Uganda. We did the gorilla trek where we
Okay.
got to see the silverbacks and hike
Nice.
in through the jungle. So we've
Yes.
done some pretty amazing things over there.
Oh, beautiful! Wow, wow. We maybe, yeah. So we have so much to like talk about. This is beautiful. I love it. Yes, yes, amazing. It's a small world, and by the way, who inspired me to come in the States?
Who's
There
that?
were two doctors from California. I lost their names.
Okay.
We had a cook who had a big lipoma, and he thought, this lipoma is going to be there, it's just a bump, big bump. He thought, this is it for the rest of my life. And these two California guys, they were surgeons. They were like, no, no, no. So they took care of it right in the office.
Wow.
So I was like, you know what? I want to be like these guys. So I started applying for the applications, in, like in the States. So even though I was fortunate to get into the program there, but I was accepted to a college in the States. Like a 2-year college. Lorain County Community College in Ohio.
Okay.
So I left all that, of course. America, and I'm here in
Yeah.
Tanzania. Let me go look for the, like opportunities. So I think I came here because of them. So that was amazing.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
it really made a huge impact. My son came back from that trip and he
Hmm.
started telling all of his friends, and he wrote about it in his college essay about how these people with nothing changed his thoughts about his future and the impact that
Amazing.
he wanted to make. So
Wow.
they helped you and they also helped my son. So
Wow.
I have a very soft spot in my heart. I have actually built a school in Uganda in a very small village called Green Hills School. And
Wow.
our college ready students are providing them with educational materials to give them the opportunity to get out of the slums and to get into education.
Right. Oh wow. This is beautiful. You're doing my dream work. This is something that
Ah,
I'm planning to do down the road. And I was even sharing with one of our guests, Dr. Shamim, and I was telling her, like we need to do this. A lot of philanthropy, work. And I think this is amazing. You're ahead of the game, and I think I'll be taking notes. Yes.
yes, I would encourage your listeners to check it out. It's a nonprofit for teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
It's called empowereducation.world.
Okay.
We encourage middle school and high school students all over the globe. It
Right.
doesn't cost anything to participate,
Okay.
and I mentor them on how to be the change they wish to see in the world.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you doing this. Yes.
Yeah.
So how is Shirley? Can you tell us a little bit about, let's say, how do you view parenting, or maybe we can start maybe with your parents, like especially dad, because this is dad puzzle, but of course talk about mom. Of course, we love
Sure.
both our parents. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up,
Hmm.
I was fortunate. I had two parents.
Hmm.
I now know that's not the case for everybody.
Right.
And we were a middle class family, and my dad and my mom both worked. And my mom probably worked a little bit more than my dad did. He was more of our primary caregiver.
Okay.
And so I grew up as a daddy's girl. I played softball. He was a big part of that. He was my biggest advocate. As an entrepreneur, he taught me tenacity, determination, focus. Anything is possible.
Right.
And so I give him credit for a lot of my core values. My mom was there cheering me on, being really supportive. So
Want real results that last? Stop wasting time on quick fixes. A no-fat approach to sustainable fitness, radiant health, and mental well-being is your roadmap to lasting transformation. Learn how to fuel your body, move with joy, and cultivate mental strength, all without the restrictive rules. Start your journey to sustainable success. Download your guide today.
I was very fortunate, is what I have come to understand.
Right.
Nobody's life is perfect, but I will tell you, I had many great opportunities because of my parents.
Amazing.
And then I have been a parent now for 30 years. So my firstborn is my 30-year-old, and he was the easy child that could raise himself. You know,
Right.
those,
Right.
right? They just come out so simple.
Right.
And I used to think other parents, what is wrong with your children? And then I had number two. And then I'm
then
like,
you know.
oh, I now know that I'm not the perfect mom I thought I was. And they're both wonderful young adults. So now I
Right.
have a son who's an orthopedic surgeon, went to Harvard, went to UC San Diego, and is now a orthopedic surgeon resident at UCLA.
Amazing.
And he is why College Ready was started in the first place. 4 years later, my second child, my daughter, she graduated, and now she is a pediatric registered nurse in the emergency room. So she helps little people get better.
Right. Amazing.
And I'm needle phobic. So I have a doctor and a nurse, and I hate needles. I can't even watch it on TV.
Oh my.
So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting thing. But when I raised them, service was a very big deal. It was important for them to lean into our community. And I think that that's where they got the medicine side of it. They were just good at math and science. And so with community service, it made sense. And then I had the opportunity to be a stepmom to two young people, a boy and a girl.
Right.
And I became a stepmom when they were in middle school. So of all times, I got to be a stepmom.
Right.
And I got to raise them. They lived with us, and it was a beautiful opportunity to really lean into what does that look like and
Right.
support them. And I have a wonderful husband who
Amazing.
devotes his life. He was a chief lifeguard, and so he devotes his life to service and making people, better.
Right.
And so I've had a wonderful experience raising 4 young adults who've all got into college and will graduate debt-free, and who've had the opportunity to experience what service can bring into their lives and how that can impact the world. And they're all wonderful young adults.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. This is a great work, and you'll be amazed. Not many people take advantage of what you have shared in terms of, let's say, being debt free. Most of us go through it, without that knowledge of what can we do to avoid this or get that. Even though I was I was aware a little bit of the, let's say, those scholarships and stuff like that. I tried, but I was missing out most of them because at that point I was not, let's say, I didn't have my paperwork as a citizen. I was still just like a foreign student. So because of that, I was missing out. But I'm like, the people here, they should be just going to school for free. But also I see them complaining. So I'm like, what's this? So what really, what creates that gap, that gap?
It's just knowledge. Mm-hmm. So when my son was going through the process, I was a single mom. Mm-hmm. And I knew that even if he got into his dream school of Harvard, at the time it was $63,000 a year. Mm-hmm. I was terrified. I couldn't afford that. I had other children that I needed to care for. Right. And yet I wanted him to have his dream. So I figured out what the FAFSA says, right? There's tax code.
Right.
The government says spend your money this way and you get benefits. Spend it this way and you don't.
Oh,
The FAFSA says put your money here and we don't look at it. Put it here and we will absolutely take from you. So it's interesting because 78% of families who actually do complete the FAFSA do it wrong. So all of these people are frustrated, but they just don't understand that they're completing it wrong, or they assume, that's a big word, they assume they make too much money to receive any money. But it's not just income, it's assets, and it's where that money is held. If you put the money in your child's name, it's a greater liability than if it was in your name. So it's lack of knowledge, and also they don't realize college is a business and they need your money and the government wants your loan money. So nobody's going to help you unless you help yourself or you know somebody or seek the information. And that's what I did. And I became laser focused because it was my oldest and his dream. Right. So the best businesses start from a why, and that's exactly what happened. Is I was determined to figure it out.
Yeah, that's a big why, my friend. That's beautiful, and you know, and we're happy that you took that initiative and the sacrifice. You know what I mean? Because now I'm sure you've been helping a lot of folks along the way to figure that out. You know, that 78%. That's a huge number for a big place that we have. You know.
Yes, and that's my mission. So College Ready, our mission is not in dollars. Our mission is to help 1 million families get into their best fit school academically, socially, and financially, and graduate without massive debt. And that is our mission, why we exist, and why I do podcasts, and why I give away free resources. And it really is helping families understand. This past year, our students, we had 39 seniors get over $9 million in scholarships. Wow. That's a lot of money per student.
Yes. Wow. And you know, of course, like you get the, I'm sure, like back in the days when I was in Bowling Green State, you know, before I joined the medical school here in America, one of my advisor, she was also a surgeon. This lady, she used to practice, but then she was like, no, I don't want to practice anymore. I want to help people like you. So she started becoming, yes. So she was an amazing lady. I don't know I did not get much of her story. See, that's the problem. I think from now onwards, you know, I need to get more information of the people that I come in contact with, because you never know what, you know, maybe, you know, today it could have been something very impactful to learn more about what she has gone through, you know?
For sure. Yes. And everybody's story is your next bit of knowledge. And I learned so much by going through the process and seeking information and listening to other people who did it differently. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to just be in the same position as they are.
Big time. You know, she was, wow, let's give people their flowers. She was a young lady. She would, you know, let's say I'm sitting on the desk, you know, just opposite her. She's writing to me, but while she's facing me, you know what I mean? Like, you know, she was that talented, you know, multi-talented. And me and her, we took classes, you know, we have like 12 hours, you know, like 12 credit hours, whatever. We were going up to 19, 21. We were fighting with school all the time, saying, okay, no, she was championing me, like, you know, he can do it. And I was doing all of them, and I was killing them, you know, the classes, you know?
Yeah.
So these are the things that you need somebody like that can help you, which is you and her and many other folks that are helping, that are advising the colleges, you know, like those students in the colleges. Because if somebody's not there to speak for you and help you, you know, based on what you're trying to do, you know, then you won't be able to go there, right? You'll be wasting money and time, because every imagine if I'm taking 21 class, you know, like credit hours now, that means if I'm not doing that, that means I'm going to be spending a whole year just to achieve that. But I'm spending just one semester.
That's
Amazing.
great advice. And not everybody could handle that for sure, but she saw it in you.
Right?
And that's what I saw in my own children. You know, what are their gifts and their talents? What are those
Right.
things? Why hold them back because you want them to be average? That makes no sense to me. Every child should have their own plan, their own roadmap to
Right.
success.
Absolutely. Wow. So thank you. I know we can go on and on. This is amazing. You know, maybe like we can divert a little bit and see, okay, so how, you know, what do you remember from your parents that was very memorable and also or something that is powerful that you think like, okay, you know what, I took this from them, you know, that kind of thing.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I write about it actually in my first two books, and it really comes down to, I thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. And the day I remember I was in my junior year and I sat my parents down because they didn't go to college, and I said, what do you think about this thing called college? Like, what's your take on it? You know, you're doing a great job. We have a nice place to live. What do you think? And my dad said to me some wise advice. He goes, it will not help you as long as you don't take on, it will not hurt you as long as you don't take on debt. Right?
Okay.
Knowledge without debt is going to set you on a path. That was so wise. My mom, on the other hand, said, go out, get a job, have that working knowledge, and then if you feel like you need to go back to school to get the book knowledge,
Right.
then so be it. So they had two totally different plans, and they were both entrepreneurs. So they thought about life uniquely.
Right.
My dad said, I'll make it very simple on you. If you go straight into college and you get in and out in 4 years, I will pay for that education. If you take anything longer and you get anything lower than a B, you pay for your own education. So he taught me then you have to have skin in the game.
Right.
He taught me then that you have to set your own path and don't expect somebody else to set it for you. And if you don't dream big, you'll never reach your dreams. And those things came from my parents, which I've been able to give to my children.
Right.
My mom and dad, they were 19 when they had me. I helped raise them, right? They were babies themselves. And now they are both very successful in their own right as entrepreneurs. I think my mom has started 4 businesses and my dad probably up to 7 or 8. And they are a perfect example of the American dream, where they were born into poverty or very low income, and now they're at the top. And that's a beautiful story that I love to tell my children, because nobody gave it to them. They both had to work really hard for it, as you did.
Right. You know, amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you know, I think it's an amazing thing, you know, because you took that advice to heart and you work on it, and look at you where you are now. And, you know, for me, I remember, like, you know, like sometimes my dad will try to balance for me, because, you know, he will see how it is, you know, let's say how much I'm trying to make it happen with, you know, from secondary school, high school, whatever, you know, like you're trying to work hard because you have to pass to get to the next one. Otherwise you go to private, you know, and it's not cheap over there, of course, you know, like everywhere else. So when he was seeing the struggle and that I've done all I can, he was saying, you know what, if you don't make it, I'll still support you, you know, like this is after the fact. So for me, it was a big deal because I feel like, you know, wow, you know, so, you know, like you care about me and, you know, that kind of thing. So, I mean, but of course, you have to work hard. He made sure that you're working hard, like your dad was saying, you know, you have to make sure that you make it happen. I think what your dad did was also, you know, like very solid, because then it pushes you to like, oh, by the way, I don't want to be into the extreme end where I don't get any help. You know what I mean? This is beautiful. Yes.
He did. He waved that big old carrot in front of me that said, you will graduate in 4 years, because
Right.
I know I didn't want to pay for it.
Right. Smart guy.
And So it was actually at the time it seemed kind of cruel. I'm like, that's so mean. And it wasn't easy. I took summer school, I took winter school, like you, I took 18 units a semester.
Right, right.
I was motivated because I knew that he was serious and that he wanted to show me return on investment of effort and time.
Right.
And that gave me the drive. And then when I graduated from college, I had 4 jobs waiting for me, 4 careers.
Right.
The next step was so much easier because I fought through and worked through the first step.
Right. So that push was necessary. So no, we appreciate that push for sure, and that's what we need to push our kids to know this sometimes, because a lot of times, let's say, we kind of baby. I think Jeff is the right person to like speak about it. He was very hard, with his kids, and like sometimes you need to do that, because otherwise your kids will be relying on you too much, thinking, oh yeah, no, dad is gonna get it, or mom is gonna get it. No. You need to also have to put your skin in the game, as you mentioned.
Yes, absolutely. I think parents play a bigger role than they give themselves credit for, and I also think, other mentors. Maybe you don't have a solid parent team. Right? That doesn't mean there aren't other people. I mentor students an hour every Sunday who come to me and ask questions and seek advice. And I'm not their parent, but I know the importance of making sure our next generation is set up for success.
Amazing.
So every Sunday night, I get an opportunity to talk to teenagers who maybe are not getting that advice, or maybe their parents don't know. Maybe they came from another country and they don't understand college in the U.S. It's complex.
Right.
And so I encourage your listeners, go to empowereducation.world, hop on this nonprofit where I get to help you as a middle schooler or high schooler be the change.
Right.
And do something about it, and feel good about what you're doing with your life. Right. And that will transition into a college or a career or what that looks like.
Right.
But it's about empowering children to change the lives of other people.
Oh, that's beautiful. And this is amazing. I think I'm going to definitely, look at the long term, like we definitely have to make this movement, very big, and to like reach too many folks, because based on my experience, many people did not know much about this process, and as you mentioned, even the people that knew, they still did not do it correctly. Like 7-8%, that's a big number, So you are needed, you're definitely needed, my friend.
Yes, and I've written 2 best-selling books that I would encourage. Right now, my newest book is called The College Admissions Plan Simplified.
Okay.
It's on Amazon for 99 cents because I just released it and it's my gift.
Right.
So for 99 cents, you will have a strategy and a roadmap.
Amazing.
And I do this to help families who may not have the support they need to get to the next level.
Right. Okay. Amazing. Thank you. We'll be definitely, we'll be sharing that, and the other books as well that you wrote. I'm sure they're very important. We'll be happy to share them as well.
Yes, you will love the first book I wrote. It's called How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. Isn't that the reality really for a lot of folks now? Wow.
For sure.
Yes,
and so.
yes.
People get themselves so stressed out. If you go online on social media and hear what these poor parents are putting themselves through and their children, it doesn't have to be like that. Our students are not feeling overwhelmed and they're not freaked out or stressed out. It doesn't have to be like that. And I want to really lean in and let parents know it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to fight with your child about completing their essays if they understand the benefit of completing their essays. So
that is true. Important. That is true. And, it gets complicated because, based on many other factors, environmental thing, whether it's the friends or there's the neighborhood they're in, like the zone that you're in and all that stuff. I mean, those things that play part, right? You see how, like one area, the schools are excellent. The the next step over, you hear the complaints about the, so so how do you advise those people that are in the wrong place?
So it really comes down to be your own advocate. Many people lean into I have to. I would encourage to change that language to I get to choose and be an advocate. There's so many teenagers that come to me, maybe their junior or senior year, and they find out that there's a lot that they didn't do and they wish they would have known.
Right.
And so instead of feeling like a victim, think about what can you do? How can you get to that other location, that other school, that other opportunity?
Right.
And a lot of it's mindset. Are you going to allow yourself just to sit into, I've been put here? Or are you going to say, like you did, and I'm going to leave my country, my home country, and I'm going to make a different life for myself? That's what I encourage all students to do. And it's not going against your elders. I know that's a big cultural thing.
Right.
It is being respectful and asking, what does it take for me to get out of this situation and into this situation? It's not whining, it's not complaining, it's simply seeking the knowledge to make the change.
Right. Okay. Wow, this is beautiful. And also parents to be supportive about that, right?
Yes.
Because if the parents say
are so important. Yeah. So I would agree with you on that. If a parent is not in agreement, it will be harder. But I will tell you, it still can be done. Both of my parents didn't go to college, and they weren't even sure that I should go to college. And I had to convince one of them that I was going to college. And it took a while for that parent to be on board. But once they saw that I was excelling and I was making good of myself, they bought into it. So sometimes you have to be the advocate. You have to say, I'm going to do this and I'll do whatever it takes. And then they can see that you aren't just all talk, that you are willing to do what you say you're going to do.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. And my prior guest, she's an advocate, big patient advocate, and her husband is a pediatric surgeon, and so she was sharing a story how, when she, at the teenage years she wanted to go to France, but her dad had put the conditions, you have to definitely do well and this and that, and because of that, and because she made, she reached, she was able to do all that, then she was allowed to go. But so those are rare parents, like your parents and my parents, and so it's good to encourage fellow dads and like moms, like just the fellow parents. Make sure that you're, take it easy with your, with your kids, support their goals, as long as it's not something crazy, but make sure that you definitely become supportive and also push them towards the good stuff,
You will love this story. So my husband and my stepdaughter, she's the baby of the family. She said, I don't want to go to Harvard. They're too smart. They're weird, is what she called them. She said, I don't want to go to Alabama. I don't want to live in Alabama. And I don't want to go to San Francisco. And I'm like, well, where do you want to go? In our family, we go to college. That's what we do. And she said, I want to go and I want to do an international business degree in Europe.
There you go.
And I'm like, you have never even been to Europe. How do you know that's what you want to do? And I said, okay, all right, I'm not going to tell you no, but here's 20 things that you need to accomplish to go and get your dream. And your dad is never going to let you go unless I am your advocate. So let's show him that you will be successful in Europe. And so we set off. We had 2 years to get it done. And I had things on there like scheduling a doctor's appointment and going to a doctor all by yourself.
Right.
Because guess what? When you're in Europe, you're going to have to go to a doctor all
Right.
by yourself. And so we started checking off the list. And at first she was terrified.
Tired of fads and frustration? Build sustainable wellness for life. Forget quick fixes that fail to deliver lasting results. Imagine feeling energized, moving confidently, and radiating health for years. Achieving true wellness isn't about exhaustion or deprivation. It's about building habits that fit seamlessly into your life. Invest in yourself today for lasting fitness, radiant health, and mental well-being. Ready to transform your life? Click here to learn more. By purchasing the book, you'll gain lifetime access to updates, newsletters, future editions, and exclusive wellness bonuses from the author. Start your journey to wellness now.
And she kept saying, come with me, come with me. I'll wait in the waiting room. I will be here if in case of emergency. Like I walked her through it.
Right.
She hit all 20, including booking a airline ticket, traveling to a destination. I met her on the other side. We stayed in a hotel and she came right back and she did it. She is now graduating a dual US and European degree in 3 years for $27,000 total. And this is the youngest baby who we never thought could do it.
Right.
And she now is the biggest advocate and the one we know will be successful because she proved it to herself and to us.
Amazing.
So kudos to Dad because he stuck to his promise even though he was so sad and so scared. But he trusted the system that we put in place.
Wow. And this is actually a good thing, is a beautiful thing that they're lucky to have you as, because you being the leader that, like showing the ways, but, let's try these 20 things. The other parent will not even have that idea to like do the 20 or 10 or, like any preparation, they will just think, oh, going there, no, it's not going to happen. There's too much going on and, and you're a girl, like, that's more, the old school, right?
Yes.
Oh my.
And he was not on board. And she knew he was not on board. And so we had to really prove to him that he could believe that she could do it. And it was not an easy sell. She had to do a whole PowerPoint presentation of the safety of her environment and where the police station was. And we had to really sell him. And I will tell you, he is a very proud papa right now. She'll be graduating in June and we're flying to Europe to be part of that experience.
Beautiful. I'm happy to hear. This is really inspiring story. And, wow. And I'm happy, there's so many things that are, that are riding into my mind at the moment. But, just the very first thing is really thank you for doing that. And, and the second part is like, I'm glad that you haven't shared anything more about her, which is beautiful. That's one thing that I have a problem with lately with, so, like some of the parents, they say in social media, this is a different, totally, like different subject. I don't know what's your thought about it. We can talk about it maybe, in our next chat. You have some parents where they almost making, they're using their kids, for work. You know what I mean? Like in terms of, let's say, because kids, they cannot consent. We as parents, we consent for them. But when they grow up, we have to make sure that we consent for the right stuff because I don't know. There's so many things that nowadays that some parents, they share about, let's say, the journey of their kids. Oh, yeah, now, like if it's a teenager, like it's their first, period or whatever, all those kind of stuff. I mean, I cannot believe what you see online. So those are the things that are very intimate. So you have psychos outside in the world that are watching these things, So I'm happy that to see you actually was a good, it's a good way that you demonstrated that, you don't have to know about my sweetheart, her name and all that. She will tell you on her own whenever she wants to do it. You know what I mean? This is beautiful. I appreciate that.
It's important that every child, every teenager gets to walk their own plan.
Right.
Because she wouldn't have been a good student at Harvard. She would have been stressed out, overwhelmed. It would have been a disaster. Not that she's not smart enough. It's just she didn't see the value of working so hard.
Right.
Right? She gets to travel all of Europe while attending college. That's her why.
Right.
She's like, oh, I will meet you and I will go to college, but I also want to see the world. And that's the part that we had to listen to. And that's the part that I encourage parents to lean into. Yes, we could all say the world is a scary place. And yes, every time I've been to 91 countries, and every time I go, my husband probably holds his breath the entire time because he's not always excited about the areas I choose. And I will say that has made me realize that it's not the country as much as where we go and the impact we make.
Right.
When I first went to Africa and I helped these women build businesses to fend for their families,
Right.
I was walking into some situations that probably were a little bit scary. But I knew my mission there was to help them and you know, advocate for them and to make sure that their families were going to be okay. And he was okay with that, just like letting our daughter go and experience life prepared. I think that's the word.
Right.
Prepared.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you for the inspiration, and I think we should, we have shared so much at the moment, and I think, I hope that inspiration and the change that we can create on families will be very, very important, because then, our kids can really pursue their dreams without being pushed, and, I think, I look forward to our next chat. I think, there's so many great ideas that are running through my mind at the moment, and I look forward to sharing them with you in our next chat. But thank you again for chatting with us today with, Dadpuzzles. I'll be sharing about, the information about your projects, your amazing books, and actually I'm inspired by the price. I think I might have to do the same. I had wrote something just very simple about wellness, not much details. I did not go into share, some personal stories or, anecdotes. None of that. It was just a simple, bare to the, to the bones, so that people can create that change in their health. Because I lost my dad, and the health thing, and so I wanted to make sure that people can really stay away from these problems. The prevention is better than cure. So that's why. So I think I might have to lower my price. You inspired me. I might have to do that so that people can just maybe get it. This is another reality in entrepreneurship. It's not that easy.
It's not. And for those families who are struggling, that their child doesn't know what they want to do, I want to just touch on that real quick, because as a parent, it does make it very challenging. And it can be frustrating for the child and the parent, because we're really asking these 17-year-olds to decide, what do you want to do when you go to college? And they're still trying to figure out what they want for dinner. There's some big decisions.
Oh, yeah.
I've created an online website. It's called See Our Future Now.
Okay.
And I would encourage families to go on there and look so they can help their child take steps in figuring out their core values, their gifts, their talents, their advocacy, the children that they hang around with, what they want to do with their free time. I guide with free resources. So families, please check that out, because once your child figures out their why, their motivation doubles, triples, quadruples, because it's all about them.
Right.
And they're going to go get it. When they're just going to school because they have to, they're not getting any closer to finding their why.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you. We'll be sharing that as well. Thanks so much. So for folks that are tuning in, please make sure you subscribe to Dadpuzzles and give a follow to our great guest, and make sure that you do all the great things that she has advised us to do. And until then, thank you again. Thank you, Shellee, for joining us today, my friend.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.